Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, September 11th, a little after 8:30 at night, and this is our daily recap video for our YieldMax weekly paying funds. This is going to be a combination video since I'm getting such a late start. So it's normally Ulti and SLTY, the Ultra Options Income Strategy Fund, and the short version of that same fund, SLTY. LFGY normally has its own video, but in the interest of time, I just want to get one video done so I can get it out quicker and get to bed. All right, reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1, posting all things related to these ETFs and videos that I make on them. All right, we'll take a look at just big picture on the market, specifically for these funds. The way I've got this set up, it's Ulti and then everything that's in it until we get to LFGY, and then it's everything that's in that, but there might be some carryover. We skip through a couple of round hill things, and then we get down to SLTY. So we had some big moves, right? Galaxy up over 10%, IonQ up 7%, Oklo up 8%, Tesla up 6%. Then we get into LFGY. So I guess I should have mentioned, right, Ulti up on distribution day or X day, only up a penny though. LFGY was up about 15 cents, so not quite half of getting back of what they came out of the stock for the declaration. Circle was up big today, 17+%. And as I am saying these things, I am realizing I didn't go through and color code the biggest winner and biggest loser, so we'll just have to do that as we go. SLTY, obviously, with a market that's mostly green, is going to have a bad day. So SLTY short sells everything. So you want all these to go down, and as you look at the list, they're pretty much all up with the exception of RH. So very rough day for SLTY. After 5:30, you're able to go onto their webpage, scroll down just above holdings, click on the intraday trades right there. You'll get this CSV. Don't ask me what that stands for because I don't know. Ulti trades start at 379 and go to 428, so just about 50 trades. SLTY goes from 430 down to 507, so 77 trades. And then LFGY had a decent amount, 569 down to 644. What's that, about 75 trades? So I copy and paste all of those in. As you can see, they only give you a quantity of shares or contracts and a price, so I have to add an extra column to multiply that out. We'll start off with Ulti, everybody's favorite. Okay, and Ulti had closing and rolling out till next week on Affirm, bringing in $2.7 million. Closing and rolling positions out for AppLovin, right? So they're closing the full collar strategy. The sold calls, you got to buy to close them. The long puts, the purchased protective puts, you're going to sell them because you had already bought them. You have them, so you can sell them. And then you sell short the new calls and you buy the new puts, all for the next week. That cost $1 million on AppLovin. Credo Technology, just everything was already rolled to next week. All they did was adjusted the puts, brought them up, just brought them up a little higher, so that's going to cost you money, $930,000. They're locking in a higher price in the event Credo drops. Robinhood rolling to next week and having to take the strike price up after the price ran through, so that's a $1.3 million debit. IonQ, we said they were up like 7%, so they ran past their sold strikes, closing and rolling to next week, increasing it from 43s to 48s, cost $5.7 million. That one hurts. I think there's worse. MicroStrategy, that close and roll to next week actually decreased it by $10, $268,000 credit. Oklo cost $11.7 million on the close and roll to next week. 72, 73s, and 84s. Oh, I don't know what the dog's doing. And then we sold 81s and 84s for next week. Where we buying our puts 70 and 73, where this past week's were 63 and 66. That cost 11.7 million. As you saw on the thumbnail, we did add PANW, actually Pacific Northwest, I think is what the name of that is. We've traded them before, so didn't add any shares, just a put spread, a credit put spread, bringing in $1 million. Selling the 197.50 and purchasing the 190. Rocket Lab close and roll to next week, having to increase the strikes again. That's going to cost us 5.7 million. And Tesla, we had put spread on Tesla. I don't believe we have shares. We don't have shares. It's just a put spread. So we closed it out for this week and sold a new one for next week. We made money on that, 1.3 million. Overall, it was a $21 million debit or loss on the options trading, but that means our stocks that we're holding went up. So they increased in value by $40 million. All right, when we take a look at the holdings, Affirm was down over 4%, so that's why that close and roll to next week ended up in a credit, because it didn't cost very much to purchase these short calls to close them out. AppLovin up 0.75%. Closed and rolled the furthest in the money positions. We still have 560s expiring tomorrow that are just about 2% in the money. So they are obviously going to be pricey to close out as well. Webull. Actually, let's take a quick look at AppLovin, just see if they did anything after hours. Maybe giving anything back down, but not enough to make a difference. Webull up 4.6%, no action taken. We've got 1350s that are 10 cents in the money or 0.75%, and 14s that are almost 3% out of the money. One trading day left. It's looking like we're going to make out pretty good on closing those out. Coinbase up 2.73%. Again, no action taken. For this week, we've got 322.50s that are almost 0.5% in the money. So let's see. That one could little movement tomorrow could make or break it, but it went up further, so that's not helping. Webull dropped after hours, so that's gonna help closing those out if it opens that way. Coinbase has also already rolled to next week 335s that are 3% out of the money. Credo Technology down 2.83%. If you remember, all they did was adjusted their puts. These are all already rolled to next week, so they're 0.4 and 3.5% out of the money. Just locked in higher puts. CoreWeave down 3.8%. 126s expiring next week are 11% out of the money. There's now $515 million in government obligation funds and $38 million in cash and other. So that's actually a decrease from yesterday. I think the total yesterday was over $600 million. First Solar down 0.25%, 207.50. So they've got a iron condor here. That's where you're selling a credit call spread above and selling a debit or a credit put spread below. It's currently sitting perfect. It expires tomorrow, and the price is in between both sold strikes. So they're gonna, if it stays like this, if it doesn't move more than 2% tomorrow, they're gonna end up winning in both directions. So that'll be a very impressive play. Galaxy Digital, no shares, just this put spread. It has already been rolled to next week. Sold puts at 27.50 are 4.75% out of the money. Robinhood up 0.25%. They closed these 7,772 puts and 7,722 of these sold calls. That's why I've got the numbers like that. So there's still 7,000 sold calls at 118 expiring tomorrow, 0.2% out of the money. IonQ Oh, actually, timeout. Maybe it's further down. Yeah, it is. Okay. I'll talk about it in a minute. Up 7.27%. Rolled the deeper in the money calls. They still have 46s expiring tomorrow that are 2.2% in the money. They swing a lot. Let's see if they gave anything back after hours. A little bit. Not enough to make these cheap. Lululemon, another one where we don't own shares. We just trade a put spread. Sold puts expiring next Friday are 162.50. They're almost 2% out of the money. Strategy down 0.13%. They took the win on the furthest out of the money and went ahead and rolled them with their associated puts. They still have 330s and 335s expiring tomorrow, 1.2 and 2.7% out of the money. Oklo up 8.4%. Everything got closed and rolled. Palantir down 1.4. They took these 165s out of the money, just barely 0.39. So they're gonna end up closing in perfect territory if they stay right there for a nice cheap roll. But we were able to, still sell a nice high. Strike for next week. 170s are 3.4% out of the money, and they've already rolled 172.50s to next week, almost 5% out of the money. Reddit up over 0.5%. 262.50s expiring next Friday are 0.75% out of the money. Rigetti up just over 3%. They've got 16s and 17s in the money, 4%, and out of the money, 1.8%, expiring tomorrow. Rocket Lab. Oh, I passed it. Rigetti. If anybody at YieldMax is watching this video, can you just buy 400 more shares? My OCD's killing me. 9,999,600 shares. Just buy 400 more shares, please. Even 10 million. Rocket Lab up almost 5%. They closed and rolled the deeper in the money strikes. They still have these 46.50s that they're waiting till tomorrow to close. They're just about 4% out of the money. Let's see if Rocket Lab's gonna, work with them here. Nope, up more, but just barely. Either way, not dropping. New Scale Power up over 2.5%. We've got 36.50 sold for this Friday and next Friday, 3.75% out of the money. Tesla, another one where we don't own shares. We just sell a put spread and we rolled them, closed and rolled them this week. Yeah, Tesla went up. So that took those nice and far out of the money. So if we'd have closed these out yesterday, they'd have cost $3.30 per share to buy to close. Today, we closed them out for 26 cents. So very nicely done. Unity Software up 0.7%. They've got 43s, 44s, and 45s sold as far as strikes on their calls. 0.9% in the money, 1.3 and 3.6% out of the money. And finally, Upstart down 0.37%. They've got 65s sold for this week and 67.50 sold for next week. 4.5 and 8.5% out of the money. I actually, in my personal trading, sold a put spread on Upstart today. Oh, and actually, things updated after I got done preparing, so that's actually an even better increase. 41 million, not 40. So we'll take it. So it was a good day as far as Ulti is concerned. And we're having a decent week as far as our values increasing. Very nice. Obviously, that's coming with negatives in the trading, but that's the trade-off. All right, next. Oh, and today is dividend X date. So long as you had the shares today and you had purchased them prior to today, you'll be getting the 9.28 cents per share distribution tomorrow. Hopefully, unless you got one of the bad brokers that makes you wait till Monday. Next, we go to SLTY. SLTY bought to close some of their short sold shares in Bloom Energy, Circle Internet Group, and Tempest AI. None was a complete closeout, so we didn't remove them. This was just portions. Then we had Astera Labs closing and rolling their. So SLTY is going to do the opposite of ULTY, where ULTY sells calls, owns the shares, sells calls to generate income, and buys puts to protect the value of those shares. SLTY sells short the shares, so we have negative shares of everything. So then you don't want them to go up. So you buy calls to protect, and then you sell puts. And that's a reverse collar. So that close and roll to next week resulted in a $19,000 credit. Applied Digital close and roll to next week resulted in a $58,000 credit. Bloom Energy's close and roll to next week, lots of different trades, resulted in a $119,000 credit. The reason there's so much is there were a couple extra, instead of everything just being one purchase call, one sold put, there was a couple, and then on top of that, after they closed and rolled everything, then they had to close out some of the positions that went along with the closing out of some of the shares, 1,600 shares. Bitmine Immersion closing and rolling to next week brought in $70,000 or had a credit there. Circle Internet Group, same thing, closing and rolling to next week's, bringing in a $43,000 credit. GitLab closing and rolling to next week brought in a $16,000 credit. MP, what are they? MP Materials. Yeah, MP Materials Corp, $3,000 credit on the close and roll to next week. And finally, Tempest AI, $64,000 credit. So this, I think that's 2 days in a row, unless I'm thinking of LFGY from yesterday, of every single closing and rolling resulting in a positive credit. Oh yeah, it was positive at least yesterday, so I can't say for sure, but overall $396,000 credit on this is trading, that's realized gain. So that was a nice trading day, probably the best one we've seen out of SLTY so far. It's going to come with a drop in value because everything went up, which is what made it so easy to close them out, because we're buying to close the puts. So if everything went up, it went away from that put and made it further out of the money. So Adobe, let's see, up 0.1%. So stocks over here going up causes the value to go down. That's what you see right there. Puts expiring tomorrow are 5.8% out of the money, so it's looking like that close and roll tomorrow will bring in profit credit. Astera Labs up 1.1%. Everything closed and rolled, dropped our value. Applied Digital, same thing, up 1.1%, dropped our value. Everything rolled. Bloom Energy up 6.8%. That's going to drop our value $67,000. Everything closed and rolled. Bitmine Immersion up 4.8%. Everything was closed and rolled, dropped our value by $39,000. BitDeer was up 3.45%. No action taken. So we know these are already rolled to next week. So that's why sold puts are 4.3% out of the money, and sold calls to help pay for the purchased calls or the protection are almost 17% out of the money. Now I'm getting to this, and I just noticed for some reason I've got this in an Excel spreadsheet, and Excel is able to automatically pull these different numbers, but Circle Internet Group does not get noticed. So I have to look that one up manually. I did it for LFGY and forgot to do it for SLTY. So Circle 133.70. This is going to change a couple of our numbers. That hurt. So we'll be adjusting, and that makes sense. Up 17%. So they're going to close and roll everything. Obviously, it's going to count as a win as far as the trading side, but it's going to hurt a lot on our value because we have negative shares. So we have to buy them back to close them. So we don't want to buy them for more than we sold them for. Enphase Energy up 0.5%. $36 and $37 puts expiring tomorrow. they're close, 3.5 and 0.8% out of the money. So still looking like got a chance to win those, so long as they don't drop too fast. Let's see if Enphase made any moves after hours. Up a little more. That's going to make them even cheaper to close out tomorrow. GitLab up 1.5%. Everything was closed and rolled, dropping our value. Lemonade up 2.5%. No action taken. These $50 puts expire tomorrow. They're 0.8% out of the money. Again, let's see. Up a little more. That's going to make them cheaper to close out tomorrow. Marathon Holding down almost 1%. So these $16 puts are actually in the money by 1.85% or 29 cents. Let's just keep flipping back and forth. Oh, they actually did go back up more than they dropped today, 1.27%. So if they actually open that way, they're going to be much cheaper to close out tomorrow. Probably still be able to end up with a positive or a credit on the trade. MP Materials up almost 1%. Everything closed and rolled. RH down 0.35%. I think they're the only one in the entire. Nope, Mara went down too. So there were only two in this entire fund of shorted stocks that went down. Down 0.35%, 4.6% out of the money on those 217.50 puts that expire tomorrow. So those will be another credit closing out. Symbotic up a fraction. What was it? 2 cents. Not a big deal. $46.50 puts expiring tomorrow are 4.9%. So they'll be closed out for a credit tomorrow, so long as nothing major happens. And Tempest AI up 13.5%. Everything closed and rolled. So that actually resulted in a negative 460. So that hurts worse than we thought it did. So we'll copy and paste that, or we'll cut it. And we'll just use those when we make our guesstimate over the weekend. Ooh, just realized. Forgot to talk about something on Ulti when we finished. We scroll up. Right, net assets or assets under management for Ulti. Hopefully the Ulti watchers are still here. Just over $3 billion still. Well, $18 million over $3 billion. There was positive flow as far as people buying back into the fund yesterday. 1 million shares, back up over 550 million. Okay, same deal for SLTY. Net assets or assets under management, 12.7 million, 275,000 shares. That's unchanged from the day before. And then obviously we dropped from our NAV with everything. Everything going up is going to decrease our value. Okay, and that would normally be the end, but we're going to combine LFGY into this just so I can make one video and get to bed. All right, so starting out, this is not a good look. So we had to sell. We sold shares of every single holding within the fund. So I'm not going to read through them. It's just everything that we've got. Let's total it up though. $5.4 million. Definitely doesn't cost that much to pay out the distribution. There's 5.3 million shares. We're not paying out $1. We didn't even pay out 50 cents. It was like 37 was the announcement. All right, LFGY. So in this case, almost everything down here is just closing out the covered calls or the short calls and the long calls, depending on if they have them, to go along with the quantity of shares that got sold. So in that case, we're not going to go through line by line talking about $160 trades, $62 trades. All right, but we will if it was a complete close and roll. So the first one was on CleanSpark, and they did have to adjust those to a higher strike, rolling them out the next week. That cost us $348,000. Circle, we know they went up big. We just talked about it in SLTY. So that close and roll from 125s all the way up to 144s. That cost us $68,000. We rolled them out till next Friday as well. Strategy, let's see, closing and rolling to next week. We went from 345s to 335s. Excuse me. $161,000 credit. But overall, it's going to be a negative because most of these were basically buying to close calls without selling short the new ones. So there was no real generation of income on the majority of these trades. So that cost us $358,000, or it was a debit of $358,000 on the options trading today. When we take a look at the holdings, we start out with Bitmine Immersion up 4.8%. Calls expiring tomorrow at 45 are 5.8% in the money, so we're going to take another hit tomorrow closing them. Same thing with BitDeer up 3.4%. Those 1350s are 4% in the money, and they will cost us to close out. CleanSpark up 1.69%. Everything was closed and rolled. Coinbase up 2.73%. They were basically right at the money, so now they're 2.7% in the money. Still expiring tomorrow. They're going to cost us as well. Core Scientific down 2.75%. So this is one where it's a good thing they didn't close them out yesterday when they were 3% in the money, because now they dropped very close to the money. They're only 5 cents in the money at this point, and a whole nother day decayed away for the time value. So these will be much cheaper to close out tomorrow. Probably be able to close them out for a credit. Circle Internet Group up 17%. Probably safe to say they were the biggest gainer. I know I didn't do that on each fund. Everything closed and rolled. The nice thing is, though, they went up 17% and only went in the money 6.5%. So we got to realize like 10.5% of that, 11% of that increase before we were capped. So we got a good bit of that. ETHA up 2.4%, sitting pretty perfect. So they would be expensive to close out today, but tomorrow they'll start dropping quickly. Right at the money is kind of beautiful. We get the most increase in value while still possibly being able to call it win the trade, but they don't expire tomorrow. They expire the following Friday. Galaxy Digital up over 10%. Here's another one. Although they went in the money, they basically got to get the first 9.5% before they were capped. So nice increase in value off of Galaxy Digital before those went beyond the strike. They are already rolled till next week, though, so we're not going to close them out. They're going to be pretty expensive after today's increase. This is the previous close on those options. GameStop up almost 2%. These 24s were already in the money. They went further to 3.4%. They do expire tomorrow. They're going to cost us a little bit to close out. A lot bit. Robinhood up 0.25%. 124s expiring tomorrow, still 5.3% out of the money. We'll be closing them for a win most likely tomorrow. Hut 8 Corp up 3.25%, still 3.25% out of the money. Have already been rolled to the following Friday, though. iBit, we don't have any options with them, just the shares. They went up 0.77% to $65.03, increasing our value. Mara Holdings, Mara, I don't know if you say Marathon, Mara, or Mara, down almost 1%. $16 calls are 1.8% out of the money. MBTX, I don't know if I updated that. 270.89, I did. They've got a credit call spread with the 280s sold. They're still 3.3% out of the money, expiring next Friday, and then a debit put spread with the purchased 255s expiring the last day of the year, 5.8% out of the money. They are losing value. Mercado Libre down almost 0.5%. These $2,430 calls expire tomorrow. They're currently 3.9% out of the money. That'll most likely be a close and roll for a nice credit. Strategy down 0.13%. They were out of the money and they went ahead and took the win, closed and rolled all those. NU Holdings up 0.7%. $15 calls sold expiring tomorrow are almost 4% in the money, so they're gonna be closed out for a loss most likely. Let's see if they gave anything back. They didn't. They kept on going. Nvidia down a fraction, 15 cents on a $177 stock. I don't know why I don't have any color there. 3% out of the money on those 182.50s that expire not this Friday but next Friday. Opera down 1.5%. Again, they've got the 19s, but they only have 43 contracts. 20s, they have 4,400 contracts. They're the ones that matter. 3% out of the money expiring next Friday. PayPal up 2.5%. Still 0.3% out of the money on those 67.50s that expire next Friday. Riot Platforms down 4.5%. $17 calls that are sold are 8.6% out of the money, again expiring next Friday. And Block up 0.65%. $76 calls sold for next Friday are 2.3% out of the money. So all in all, that resulted in a $2.5 million increase in value. LFGY was up today. They've got $187 million in assets under management. That is before everything from today, so that will go up, and unless people sold out of the fund. All right. And we'll change that tomorrow once they distribute the 37 cents and change. All right, so that's all I've got for you. Maybe we'll do a real quick recap. Ulti had money flowing back in, 1 million new shares purchased. They lost 21 million in options trading. They increased in value by 41 million. SLTY, no change in shares. Actually profited or had a credit of almost $400,000 on the trading day, options-wise. But they did drop in value by $460,000 because everything went up, and that's bad for a short fund. And LFGY, again, no change in shares, outstanding shares. Cost them some money trading, down $358,000, but their value increased by $2.5 million. All right, sorry for the long video. I got a dad joke to reward you for listening to me talk about numbers for 32 minutes now. So before I do, just thank you, everybody. Sorry for getting this video out so late. I appreciate everybody likes, shares, comments, helping me out. So, okay, dad joke of the day. Which is faster, hot or cold? Hot, because you can catch a cold. That's okay. Not great. I give it a B-. All right, good night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Don't forget to close out your options if you got anything expiring on Friday, and catch you in the next video.